I always thought I had it figured out. A solid job in project development. A cozy house tucked away in the New Jersey suburbs. The whole 9 yards. And Emma. God. Emma was the centerpiece. Smart. Sharp. With this captivating energy that drew everyone in. She worked in the legal department at the same Manhattan firm. We were that couple, the one that seemed perfectly matched. Built on shared dreams and late-night talks fueled by black coffee. No sugar. Honesty, we always said, was our bedrock. Then came that Friday night. It started like any other. Dinner simmering on the stove. The low hum of the TV in the background. Emma was upstairs, taking a shower. Her phone, left face up on the coffee table, suddenly lit up. Habit, maybe? Or just a glance at the wrong second. But I saw it. A text message preview that sucked the air right out of the room. You were incredible last night. If your husband only knew, haha. Good thing I'm his boss. The sender? Daniel Kramer, my boss. The executive director I'd reported to for 9 long years. My first reaction wasn't rage. No smashing fists. No primal scream tearing through the quiet house. Something colder, sharper, took hold. I actually smiled. A tight, humorless curve of the lips. Because in that gut-wrenching moment, a single thought crystallized. The best revenge is the kind they never see coming. The game wasn't over, it had just begun. And I knew, right then, I wouldn't be playing by their rules. Emma and I clicked instantly at that finance seminar years ago. She had this way of cutting through the corporate jargon. Witty and observant. We bonded over our shared love for dense novels. The bitter kick of strong coffee. And this unwavering belief that trust was non-negotiable. The first 5 years? Pure bliss. Or as close to it as life gets. We built a life, brick by brick, grounded in what I thought was mutual respect and transparency. But looking back, the signs were there. Subtle shifts I'd dismissed over the past 2 years. Late nights at the office became more frequent. Blamed on deadlines or team dinners. Her phone became an extension of her hand. Quick smiles flashing across her face as she texted. The screen angled away whenever I walked into the room. Company parties, too. I'd noticed the way she gravitated towards Daniel. The easy laughter. The lingering touches that seemed just a bit too familiar. I'd gently brought it up once. Trying to keep the insecurity out of my voice. You seem pretty friendly with Kramer lately. I'd ventured. She'd laughed it off. A dismissive wave of her hand. Honey, are you seriously jealous because I talked to your boss? Her confidence. Her easy deflection, it worked. I backed down, telling myself I was being paranoid. Letting workplace stress bleed into my personal life. I trusted her. Or maybe, I just desperately wanted to. That trust? It shattered the moment I saw that text. The foundation wasn't cracked, it was obliterated. There was no going back. No patching things up. There was only the path forward, a path paved with calculated silence and meticulous planning. The urge to confront them, to unleash the storm brewing inside me, was immense. I pictured flipping the dinner table, screaming accusations, demanding answers. But what good would that do? Give them the satisfaction of seeing me broken? Allow them to spin the narrative. Paint me as the unstable, jealous husband? No, that wasn't the way. I chose a different strategy, deception. I would play the part of the oblivious, slightly stressed, but ultimately devoted husband. I went to work the following Monday. Greeted Daniel Kramer with the same professional courtesy I always had. Even managed a strained smile during our morning briefing. At home, I sat through dinners, listening to Emma recount her day, nodding along to stories that now felt like intricate lies. I learned to control my breathing, to mask the turmoil behind a veneer of normalcy. Every forced smile, every feigned moment of affection, was fuel for the fire slowly building within me. But behind this facade, the real work began. The anger, the betrayal, I channeled it into a laser focus. Revenge wouldn't be swift and messy, it would be methodical. undeniable, and utterly devastating for them. I reached out to an old college buddy, Mark, a guy who'd ditched the corporate ladder to become a cybersecurity wizard. Over encrypted channels, I laid out the situation, my voice tight with controlled fury. Mark didn't ask many questions. He understood the subtext. Within 4 days, he delivered. Accessing Emma's backed-up iCloud data, legally questionable. Perhaps, but morally justified in my eyes, he unearthed a digital avalanche of their affair. The evidence was sickeningly thorough. Months, maybe years, worth of text messages, explicit, graphic conversations detailing rendezvous, criticizing me, planning their deceit. Daniel's arrogance bled through every word. Photos and short video clips. Grainy images from dimly lit hotel rooms in Midtown. Timestamps confirming her late nights at the office. The locations screamed expense accounts and hidden credit card statements. And the final nail in the coffin, an audio recording. Apparently saved accidentally or foolishly. It was Daniel's voice, smooth and condescending, talking about me to Emma. He called me predictable, easy to manage, and then, the phrase that sealed his fate, he referred to Emma as my easily controlled weak spot. Weak spot. Hearing those words, the last shred of doubt vanished. This wasn't just about infidelity anymore. It was about power, manipulation, and utter contempt. Kramer hadn't just betrayed my trust, he'd weaponized my marriage against me. My smile wasn't tight anymore. It was predatory. I knew exactly what I had to do. Daniel Kramer wasn't just my boss, he was a heavyweight in the company. A smooth operator with connections on the board. Taking him down directly through HR felt risky. He could squash it, twist it, maybe even turn it back on me. But his arrogance, the very trait that fueled his affair, was also his Achilles heel. He was greedy and sloppy. He thought he was untouchable. My investigation pivoted. The affair was the catalyst. But his professional misconduct would be the weapon. I started digging, meticulously and discreetly, into Kramer's dealings at the company. It didn't take long to find the dirt. The man left a trail like a slug in damp earth. Expense reports, flagrant abuses, lavish dinners claimed as client meetings, personal travel buried under project codes, charges from high-end stores justified as office supplies. He was using the company coffers as his personal slush fund. Project numbers. I cross-referenced internal reports with client feedback and my own project data. Kramer was inflating success metrics, fudging projections to boost his department's performance, and his own bonus. He was cooking the books. Plain and simple. Abuse of power. This was darker. Whispers I'd dismissed before now took on sinister meaning. Kramer had a pattern of pressuring junior staff, particularly women, into uncomfortable situations, late-night strategy sessions, implied threats about career progression. And then I found it. Evidence suggesting he'd pressured female employees, including Emma, into signing disadvantageous non-compete clauses or accepting lower settlement terms during contract negotiations. Often leveraging his position outside of standard business hours. He wasn't just cheating with my wife, he was potentially exploiting her professionally. 2. My routine changed subtly. I started carrying a small, high-quality audio recorder. Meetings with Kramer, especially one-on-ones where he bragged or made questionable directives, were captured. I made copies of invoices, expense claims, internal memos, anything with his signature or approval. Every digital file, every scrap of paper, every audio snippet was meticulously organized, duplicated, and saved onto multiple encrypted, independent hard drives, stored off-site. I became a ghost in the machine, gathering evidence while playing the part of the loyal, if slightly downtrodden, employee. The mask was heavy, but the thought of the endgame kept me going. The final piece of the plan required a calculated risk. I needed to remove myself from the immediate blast zone and create a diversion. So, I resigned. No dramatic exit. No airing of grievances. Just a polite, standard resignation letter citing vague personal reasons and a desire for a career change. I gave my 2 weeks' notice, worked diligently, and offered to help train my replacement. Emma's reaction was telling. Relief washed over her face. Barely concealed. She probably thought my leaving the company would make their affair easier. Less complicated. She even offered sympathetic words, suggesting I take some time off. Find myself. Maybe this midlife crisis will be good for you, she'd said, patting my arm with feigned concern. I played along, acting lost and uncertain about my future, letting her believe I was emotionally fragile, further lowering her guard. The day after my official exit from the company, the real work began. I spent hours compiling the evidence into clear, irrefutable dossiers. One package, containing proof of the affair, the expense fraud, the inflated project numbers, and the allegations of pressuring female staff, carefully anonymized where necessary. But highlighting Emma's situation, went directly to the company's internal ethics committee via a secure, anonymous whistleblower portal I knew about from my time there. A second, more detailed package focusing purely on the financial irregularities, the fraudulent expense reports. The cooked books, was sent certified mail to the Internal Revenue Service, IRS. Tax evasion is a federal matter. After all. Finally, a third, carefully curated tip-off, focusing on the abuse of power and financial misconduct angle, leaving out the explicit details of my wife's involvement initially. To let the corporate scandal break first, was anonymously leaked to a hungry reporter I knew covered corporate malfeasance at the New York Business Weekly. Then, I waited. Silence can be deafening, especially when you know a storm is about to break. It didn't take long. Within 2 weeks, whispers turned into panicked murmurs around the office grapevine. I still had a few discreet contacts. Daniel Kramer was summoned for multiple closed-door meetings with the board and legal counsel. His usual swagger evaporated, replaced by a hunted look. A month after my resignation, the company announced Kramer was placed on administrative leave pending an internal investigation. And then, the hammer fell. The New York Business Weekly story broke. A scathing exposé detailing allegations of financial impropriety and abuse of authority. The article hinted at more personal scandals simmering beneath the surface. The IRS investigation, though slower and quieter, was undoubtedly adding pressure behind the scenes. The Ethics Committee, facing public scrutiny and irrefutable evidence, had no choice. Daniel Kramer was fired, not quietly retired, but terminated in disgrace. His name, once synonymous with corporate success, was now dragged through the mud on business forums and news sites. CEO Daniel Kramer fired amidst allegations of embezzlement, abuse of power, and workplace misconduct. Emma? The fallout was brutal. The internal investigation inevitably uncovered the full extent of her involvement with Kramer. Colleagues shunned her. Friends stopped calling. Her own family, pillars of their community, were mortified. The whispers weren't just about Kramer anymore. Stripped of her protector and exposed, her position at the company became untenable. She wasn't fired, not officially, but the environment became toxic. She moved out on the first truly cold night of winter, packing her bags in silence while I watched. Impassive. From the doorway, no tears, no shouting match. Just the quiet, final closing of a chapter. There was no cathartic explosion, no dramatic confrontation where I laid bare their sins. I didn't need to raise my voice. Didn't need the messy, blood-pumping satisfaction of immediate, visible revenge. My vengeance was a quiet, meticulously crafted demolition. It was patience, strategy, and the cold, hard weight of evidence. Life looks different now. I landed a better job at a competing firm, one that values integrity. The house feels quieter, but cleaner somehow, free from the weight of deceit. Sometimes, Late at night, I think about Emma and Daniel. I don't know where they ended up. And honestly, I don't care. They thought they were playing a game, manipulating the board to their advantage. They never realized that the game board itself, the rules, the very pieces they thought they controlled, were all mine. And the best part? I sleep soundly every single night. There's a unique kind of peace in knowing that justice, served cold and calculated, is sometimes the most satisfying dish of all. They built their own prison, brick by treacherous brick. All I did was hand them the key and watch them lock themselves inside. This is Revenger Ruby. If you enjoyed this story of calculated payback, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. You won't want to miss the next tale of sweet, sweet revenge.